Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Golf TV with Jeff Deal. I'm not Jeff Deal, obviously. I'm Brian Steffen, the golf monger, and Jeff is joining us via Skype from his palatial estate in Carolina Forest. Jeff, how you doing today, buddy?
Palatial estate. Jeez, I was out there 6.5 hours doing my own lawn Sunday. Palatial estate.
Well, somebody's got to do the work. Here's my question. Are you in the sun porch?
Hold on a minute. I can't let that get by.
By the way, his yard's not that big.
If it takes you 6.5 hours to mow your yard, it's palatial.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, actually, I did a fall cleanup and a new spring cleanup all in one shot.
Oh, there you go.
I was going to say, here's the thing, Jeff. It
was a mess.
If he spent 6 hours in the yard, he wasn't mowing because his yard is not that big.
So
I've been
how
in
many
his
beers
yard.
did it take?
I was going to say.
Well, there you go. That's. There was a trip to the store because I ran out. So yeah.
Which is impressive because he always has. By the way, if you're ever going by Jeff's house, hop the fence. He's always got beer in the fridge.
There you go.
On the sun porch, always. So.
Well, thanks, folks, and I apologize for not being in studio, folks. It's a pleasure to be with you via Skype. Brian, thank you so much for being there. I really appreciate
No worries,
it,
buddy. It's golf season. We're all busy.
Well, I feel like you're on camera, and it should be reversed. I'm the one that was in 12th. I moved up to 5th. You were the one that was in 15th, I think, and moved down to 18th.
Listen, I used the same lineup 2 weeks in a row because I got busy last week and didn't even change my lineup. I was just impressed. I was impressed. I was impressed that I even scored points.
That's well, you know what, and I still trust your advice. I still trust the things that you do. We talk a lot throughout the week.
Yeah.
And it's important to get your insight on so many different things. I think you're the one, I'm not quite sure, you're the one that mentioned a few weeks ago and about Charles Schwartzwell has about to come into his own. And I picked him last week, and he actually got me to win and got me out of the doldrums of being in the middle of the pack. And I'm only about 82 points from the lead to get all those points for the first session. Remember, this Yahoo league we're in, it's 3 segments. There's 12 weeks in each segment. We're in the 11th week this coming week for the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So I got 2 weeks to go. I'm less than 100 points behind, so I'm certainly not giving up hope.
No, and you shouldn't. And I'm not giving up hope because my goal when we get in this thing is to win the year, not a segment.
Yeah.
So in winning the year, if I win a segment along the way, then that's good. But I think that I'm my start has been pretty poor this year. But the thing is, points wise, I'm not that far off. I think everybody in the league's just been doing pretty well. It's not like I'm doing terrible.
No. In fact, I think everybody. I'm waiting today, tomorrow. No, 17th. I gave the 17th the deadline for everybody to get their points into me, so I can figure out what our payout is. And we've got 30 people in this one league, and even though you're down, you're in 18th position. You're still in a position. And you're still in a position, and you're a smart guy. I think you're using your team well. That's always important. Sure. How you use your players in our particular league. I'm in a different league in through the PGA Tour, and you're in it too. And we talked about how you can only use a guy 3 times. Yeah. Here in our one league, you can use him 10 times. So you only get 2 bench players. So there's a lot of different leagues going on, but. If we can get right to it, I know the API. It's a great event down in Florida. It's the last of the Florida swing, correct? They moved to Texas next week.
Yes.
So a really good a good course. Obviously, Bay Hill Bay Hill Club and Lodge, as it's called, actually in his at the venue. It's a 7,400-yard course, par 72. It's got a lot of par 5s that are reachable for a lot of the guys, and 10 par 4s that are very difficult. But still, the scoring does get low down here.
Yep.
And I'm looking for low scores. I think Matt Avery, who's a defending champion, was 19 under last year. I don't have the stats up, but I like him on my team this year. I know you're not a guy that picks defending champions, but I do like the venue for him. He sets up really well for this venue.
What's that, Avery?
Yeah, I do. I like.
No, I like defending champs. I don't like guys who won the week before.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Charles Howell may not be on my list, but no, Every he's the 2-time defending champ, in fact. So
he is.
You'd almost be crazy not to have him on your team. Not that, I mean, three-peating is crazy, but you know he's going to play well.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, that's the thing. It's about getting points, and I know we talked to Jeff behind the glass earlier. He's already picked his team, and he did not put Matt Avery on his team. And not that I want to talk him into it, but I still think it's a very, very strong bet. Out of my top 5, he is probably in that top 5. I like to look at a top 5 first. That'll be my starters to figure out where I'm going to go from there.
I don't even
with my
think
bench players.
Jeff's so sure that he's already got his team in. I'm looking back there. I don't even think he's listening. So I think he's so set on what he's already done that he may not even be paying attention to us.
Well, now. I know the one pick that everybody's going to pick is Adam Scott. Everybody's going to put Adam Scott on their team as an A player. He's playing really strong right now. He likes the venue. And I'd say across the fantasy world with all the gamers out there in golf, he's on 30% of the teams, which seems a little low to me. But and a lot of people are picking Ryan Moore too. That's one of the guys that.
Well, he played really well last week, and he has played well at Bay Hill in the past.
Right.
So Ryan Moore is a good pick. In fact, will be on my squad as well.
I meant to ask you, have you picked your team yet?
Yes and no. I've got about 4 or 5 of the players picked. I do like Matt Every, the A-list, as the 2-time defending champ. Whether he wins or not, it's totally irrelevant. You know he's going to play well. He's going to earn you points.
Right.
I also like Adam Scott.
I do too.
Like someone we haven't mentioned yet, always seems to play well. This part of the Florida swing is Zach Johnson.
Very good. And you know what? What's really good, I'm looking at I've picked my team, and I'm looking at the screen right now, and I've noticed that out of I picked everybody. Only 2 guys I've used. Everybody else I haven't used, and I haven't used Adam Scott yet.
Now
he's been on a bench, but I've never started him. Hence, I'm in 5th place. Justin Rose, I have not used yet. Zach Johnson, I have not used yet.
I haven't used Zach Johnson. I used Justin Rose once.
Yeah, Matt Avery, I haven't used yet. Now, Rory's going to sit on my bench right now. I'm curious how he's going to come out of the blocks, but I have used him a couple times. That's why I'm going to keep him parked on my bench
Rory's
right now.
One of those guys. Well, now you're getting to the time of year, if you've used him a couple of times, like somebody like Rory, you say you've used him twice already, and so have I. Now you got to start projecting out. And the first thing I do is I assume that I'm going to use him in all 4 majors.
Right.
He's the number 3 player in the world, or number 2 player in the world. I'm assuming that I'm going to use him in all 4 majors. Now, depending on how he's playing when the time comes, could totally change my pick that actual week. But the way I got to look at it, guys like Jordan Spieth, he's not in the field this week, but the top guys, when the year starts, the way I look at it, because you got to look at it the whole year when you can only pick them 10 times, is all the top guys, I've got to assume there's 10 or 15 guys that I would consider using in every major. So right then you got to think about it. Well, I only have 6 times to use those guys then.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, perfect example of me, I've used them. I've only got 7 times left, Rory.
Okay, so if you're going to use them in the majors, you only have them 3 times.
3 left.
Right.
And then you get close to that tour championship, and you want to use him for the East Lake and stuff like that. So
realistically,
realistically,
you're done using Rory except for the majors and the playoffs, possibly.
Right. Exactly. But although I'm still holding out hope that I can win this segment, so I'm going to put him on my bench to see where we're at.
Well,
and if he comes out firing, I think he's playing well. I'll plug him in. I'll try to win this segment.
Well, see,
and then I'll have to deal with that.
It all depends on your strategy.
Right.
You're actually within a shot, being in 5th place with 2 weeks to go. You're hoping to load up for Bear and put up big numbers the next 2 weeks and overtake and win the segment.
Well, yeah, I'm in a totally different spot. Once they move to Texas, a lot of the big guns don't make that trip.
Right.
So I can save him then.
Well, and then there's guys that typically play well out there, so you want to play them.
Right.
You know. So, no, it's definitely. I mean, listen, when there's so many events, there's 36 events in our league, and you can only use a player 10 times, so you can use them less than a third of the time.
Yeah.
So it's not.
It's great strategy, though. I like what you did last year. It helped you come in second place.
It did. If there was a winner for being the first loser, or if there was a prize for being the first loser, I would have got it. But I mean, this is a perfect time to use guys like you said, Adam Scott, you haven't used it all yet. Matt Every, you haven't used it all yet. I haven't either. Zach Johnson, I haven't used yet.
Right.
If I want to change my mind and go with Charles Howell III, guy who typically plays well in Florida, but I haven't used yet. I haven't used him yet at all this year. Charles Schwartzel, who won last week in the playoff over Bill Haas. If I want to follow the trend that he's got a hot hand and go against my conventional wisdom, I haven't used him yet. You know, so you just start looking at guys that you haven't used, and don't be afraid to go. You know, do some homework and guys that have a history of scoring well at the course that are off the radar. You know, everybody. You know, you go to golf.com, you go to Golf Channel, you go to PGA Tour, and everybody's got their top 10, top 15 power rankings, and they're all generally the same, shuffled up in a different order. But to go to to know that a guy like Will McGirt plays well in Florida, so plug him in there. Or, you know, even though he hasn't really done anything this year, Paul Casey always plays well at this event, even though he hasn't really done anything yet this year. Guys like that, you know, no-name guys, you know, quote-unquote no-names, that use them. I mean, because you're needing to save the guns for...
You know, it's not a bad idea to look at last week's venue and look at that player list, look at where they finished. Bay Hill and Copperhead, they're a little similar. Now, Bay Hill's got a lot more open fairways to hit off of. Copperhead course is just...
The big thing, I was just going to say that's a great point. The big thing they have in common is the greens.
Yes.
They've both changed to the same green.
Yep.
So if you want to find somebody that was high in the putter rankings last week.
Right.
And if they're in the field again this week, and there are 77 players that played last week that are in
one
the
guy
field this week.
Right off the bat, Justin Rose, he putted very well. He's starting to play really well.
Yes.
He's a guy that's on my team. I like him. So folks, if you're looking for a lock to start, I think Justin Rose, Adam Scott, and
Matt Every.
Matt Avery.
In my opinion.
No question
Matt
about
Avery,
it. Now
he's a two-time defending champ. The guy knows how to play there. He's averaging a 68 the last 2 years.
Now, I like our Jeff behind the glass is one pick. He told us in his C players he's got Chez Reavie, and so do I. Chez Reavie is actually going to be my starter right now. I like how he's playing right now. Played well last week.
He did.
But in my top 10, I got William McGirt. You mentioned him earlier. I like him. Yeah. And Brandt Snedeker is he's been under the radar the last few weeks, but I think he loves this venue. Something about Bay Hill brings out the stars. To be around Arnold and I think it brings out the traditional part of the game, brings in the history, brings in that history that Arnie was, you know, he made golf back in the late 40s, early 50s, and then obviously in the 50s, and then in the 60s it exploded because of him. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate all that he's done for golf. And I know some of the guys on tour really appreciate it. Brandt Snedeker was interviewed, and that's all he could talk about was Arnold Palmer, what he did, the history. And I really was impressed by what he was saying. So this is an event that I think Brandt is going to play very well at. He feels a connection to Arnold, and so I'm going to put him on my team as well, just for that connection I like.
You know, another guy on the he's on the C list that we're certainly not talking about, but he has always played well here. And it will pain me a little bit to possibly put him on my team, but Ian Poulter.
He's not on my radar yet. I know it's a Ryder Cup year, and
it's got nothing to do with the Ryder Cup. His history at this venue is solid.
Yeah, but man, what is he doing right now? He's spraying it all over.
You know, but sometimes guys have been doing nothing, and then they come to an event
and you're right.
That's comfortable.
I would never question golf, Margaret. That's for sure.
You know, well, a lot of times it's about comfortability at the venue. You're right. Guys have been playing terrible, and then they get to a course that they're comfortable at, and they play well.
Well, how about this name, Sam Saunders? I mean, Arnie's grandson, for crying out loud. He's been playing fairly decent on tour.
Yep.
And he tied for 29th last year. So why not? Why not throw him in there and see if the kid can come through for his grandfather? I think that would be a pretty sentimental pick as well. You know, smart, I don't know, but I think it's worth it.
By the way, the biggest news of the day, and I don't know if you've heard this, and I know you were busy, is Palmer announced that he is not taking part of the ceremonial first tee shot at Augusta for the first time since 2007.
That's
he is not.
That stinks. That really does stink. That's something that I always looked forward to. That was something that you DVR'd because I'm in the golf business, so I'm busy, and you always want to. It's not always about the watching the current players, but it's about the tradition of that tournament. And,
well, that means the big three will just be the big two.
Yeah.
Because Nicklaus and Player will still be there.
I wonder how he's feeling. Although I forget what the Australian player it was. It's his first Bay Hill, and he was on the Golf Fix with Michael Breed, and he was talking that, you know, the first time he showed up, he went to go have breakfast, and there was Arnold sitting in the club having breakfast, and he sat and he had breakfast with him.
Yeah.
And and that was just last week. So
you know, he may just be at the point where he said, it might not have anything to do with how he feels. He just may have made a decision that I can't hit the ball out of my shadow, and I know that people want to see me, but I don't need to hit a tee shot to be a part of what's going on. He may be graciously bowing out.
Well, listen, I'm just to let the folks know, I had mentioned Brandt Snedeker, but you got to keep a close eye on him. Remember, he withdrew in his last start at the Row for a rib injury.
Yeah.
He says he's fine, but I just want you to keep an eye on that. So, another guy that I like in this venue, although it plays to 7,400 yards, this golf course, is Paul Casey.
I do like Paul Casey.
He's been consistent. His attendance and results at Bay Hill have been seventh place finish or better a couple of times. So I really like. He's had a top 15 a couple of times. So I really like the venue for him. So Paul Casey, keep an eye on him.
Yep.
One of the guys worth looking at too is Scott Brown. Top 10s in the last two starts.
He's on the C list. Mm-hmm. And he would be a great pick off of the C list for sure.
Okay, so we're running out of time. I want to bring up my team here again. And I appreciate your help on this. Right now, I've got Adam Scott and Matt Avery, but I've got Adam starting. Matt is on the bench.
I've got every starting with Scott on the bench.
I'm not sure about that. And I just plugged in Brandt Snedeker, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. Justin Rose starting and Ches Reavie. Who do you got as your four starters without giving out too much information to our folks?
Right now I've got Zach Johnson starting, and a name we haven't even mentioned, but it's about that time where he starts playing, so I'm kind of going on a hunch, is Heinrich Stenson.
He's played well recently.
Yeah, and
he's actually on my radar, but I don't know why I keep passing him up when I'm picking players. I just something bothers me. In my other leagues, I've got David Lingmerth as a starter in one of my other leagues. He's kind of been on the radar recently. Uh-huh. Remember, folks, I always talk about looking at pairings and who they're playing with is always an important issue. But who plays well with who, and I think that's also, we're getting to that point where guys they're starting to gear their games up for the Masters, but that's all part of it, especially at a venue like this. It's a star-studded event at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and I think you should look at that as well.
Yeah, that has to do with that. That has a lot
folks,
to do with it.
Listen, remember, Twitter at Fantasy Golf TV, Facebook.com/Fantasy Golf TV. Check out our website, FantasyGolfTV.com. You can contact me, jdeal268. That is my Twitter handle if you want to contact me and ask me any questions. TheGolfDirector.com. You can click on the TGT TV tabs, scroll down, and click on Fantasy Golf TV. Check out the live player. Check out all of our past shows. Brian, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Real quick before we go, I got to ask you. Throw your curveball.
Sure.
Throw your curveball here. Who's winning Who's winning the NCAA tournament?
Well, in which pool do I have? I mean, I've got so many brackets,
nope.
but most of them,
gun to your head. Gun to your head.
Most of them, I have Kansas. I've got Kansas.
Yeah, I like. I think I like Kansas too, but just to be different, because I'm teetering. I like Michigan State.
That's a good one, and I've got Michigan State going to the finals on 2 of my brackets. I also got the Tar Heels winning on 1 of my brackets, but the consensus with all my brackets is that Kansas is going to win it.
Well, lately Kansas has been playing. Kansas and Michigan State have been playing better than anybody, but this has been such a crazy year that I heard a great stat the other day. Something for you to think about before you're finished filling out your because hey, this is fantasy, right? So we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
The before you finish filling out your brackets for your pools and things like that. And I got your text, buddy, and I'm going to join your pool. This is the losingest. Let me make sure I say this right. This is the losingest field in the history of the NCAA tournament.
Really?
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
It's the first time that every team in the field has at least 4 losses.
Wow. Well, that's a good point. I mean, which number 12 seed is going to beat the number 4 seed and 5 seed? And
there's always something like that.
There's always something like that goes on, but I think this year I was really looking at those numbers.
Let me give you one.
I did throw a couple of curveballs.
You ready? I'm going to call it, and I'll bet you a beer on it if you don't agree with me. Hawaii is a 13 seed.
I see. I didn't see that. I didn't touch that one. No.
I like Hawaii.
You do?
I do. I like Hawaii, and I also like UNI. UNI
is a good one. I like
Northern Iowa.
Yep.
Those are 2. And don't sleep on whoever wins the Vanderbilt game tonight. Possibly going on and winning their 1-2, but Hawaii and UNI. First round upsets.
And that's pretty good. Now, the one in one of my brackets, I've got Buffalo beating Miami. I know. I don't go there.
Hey, you never know. That's the great thing. I mean, that's just like we're talking. I mean, in every week, and we don't do enough of this. And now that we're talking about the NCAA tournament, we probably should. How many guys did we not even talk about end up in the top 10 every week?
I totally agree.
How many guys? Was anybody talking about Charles Schwartzel last week? I mean,
no.
The professor.
Well, I mentioned him, but
But is he high on a lot of people's lists? I mean,
no.
I didn't hear a lot of talk about him.
On the golf
or Bill Haas. I mean,
it was really good to see Michael Breed break his swing down. You can't go wrong with Charles Schwartzel's swing. You just cannot go wrong. And I really like it under pressure. It holds up. And when he's in contention, look out. Look what he did at the Masters. He reeled off 4 birdies in a row to win that thing. He took it right away from, I forget who it was, Adam Scott maybe, I think it was. He took it right away from him.
Yeah.
So he can do that. And that's exactly what he did.
All right. Well, we'll see how it works out this week. Jeff, I'm glad I was able to be here to help you out, buddy. And I know life's been tough, and you've been busy with golf season there at the club there at Barefoot. So glad to be able to sit here with you, and glad you were able to Skype in from the back 40 from the back 40 at your house.
I certainly appreciate you being there, Brian, for me, and I definitely owe you. We'll sit at the back porch and drink a lot of beer one night and have some fun.
I'm in. All right. The TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Digital Network for thegolfdirector.com. Be sure to check out our featured golf course pages where you'll find out up-to-date information about course conditions, specials, and much more. If you need help with your next golf vacation, give us a call at 844-GO-GOLF1. That's 844-464-6531. All of the Golf Director programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. Just click on the TGD Radio and TGD TV tabs in the menu at thegolfdirector.com. Find us on over 1 billion devices. We're on iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Blueberry, Periscope, and Catch Me. This has been Fantasy TV with Jeff Deal. Jeff Skype in. I'm Brian Steffen. For Jeff behind the glass pushing the buttons, thanks for tuning in. There's more Golf Director news and information coming up next. Have a great day, everybody.